And for our next guest, we have Kristen. And Kristen, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself as well.
So my name is Kristen Peyton, and I work in the social work field. I am on the administrative side now. I've been in the field for about 7.5 years or so. And my title is Director of Quality Training and Development.
Thank
Very long.
you. Okay, so before I ask your first question, can you kind of give us a roundabout what social work is about?
Sure. So social work is a very, very broad field. And so there are a lot of different positions that you can work in. It's anything from trauma to mental health. Um, Positions that you can work in, populations that you can work with, but basically it's looking at helping those who might be struggling with like mental health disorders or addiction, and helping them to recover or helping them to get a plan to where they can live life to the fullest of their ability.
Okay. Okay. So, first question is, does your job require high school, community college, technical college, or a 4 year or more degree?
So my specific position requires a bachelor's degree. So there are a lot of different positions that you can hold. Starting out in the field, the position I held was just a high school diploma. And then looking at as you move up requires more education.
Okay. If someone is interested in this career, what classes do you think that they should take to prepare?
So I would encourage kind of three different routes if you're looking at this field. One would be classes that would have to do with like human development, psychology, sociology, anything about human behavior, brain development. And then if you don't have the ability to have those classes, like with my high school, we didn't have any of those opportunities. So I encourage people to look at any sort of class or organization or club that helps build leadership skills, as well as a huge part of our job is documentation. So really being able to document well, to be able to communicate with others. Those are probably two of the biggest skills that we use in our field on a day-to-day basis.
Come Coming to mind would be like you're saying your high school didn't offer some of those things, but
Right.
like you're saying anything you can get involved in that would be leadership, communication, helping others. The first thing I think of is our son's in 4-H, and some of those things that you just touched is things they talk about and their pledge and stuff.
Yeah.
So that would be a good one if some of them are in 4-H.
Yeah, absolutely. I went to public school in Crothersville, so I did FFA. Was a big one that
Yes.
really taught leadership skills. There were other organizations and things that I was a part of, as well as just my English class. My English teacher was amazing. Mrs. Nicholson was really awesome at helping us to write papers. She is the reason why I passed college. But just really good documentation and being able to formulate your thoughts and being able to communicate. Public speaking is huge. So those are really skills that are very beneficial in the social work field.
And out of those classes, what do you think were your favorites?
I had a lot of, in college, I had a lot of favorite classes. I did my first 2 years at IUPUC, and I commuted there. And then I got married and moved to the Evansville area and finished my last 2 years at USI. I am obsessed with anything to do with like brain development, how our bodies affect our mental health. So anything like that. Forensic psychology. I took a forensic psychology class that was super interesting. Abnormal psychology. Just a lot of different classes that really helped me to kind of see what the field was about.
And does your job change often? And if so, do you have to update your knowledge and skills along the way?
So I would say my core duties stay the same in this position, but um, my job in general and then just the nature of organization, things are constantly changing. I have to be flexible. I may have a plan. And then I walk in the door and there was a crisis over the weekend at our youth home. So then I have to try to, work through that and make sure that I've covered all the bases on that. I am always updating my information, my knowledge, any training opportunity that comes available. I am trying to educate myself, even if it's not a subject that directly relates to my job. I just try to have a lot of different knowledge. That way I can be supportive of not just our clients, but also our employees. And so that requires me to be really flexible, to be organized and be able to kind of pivot at a moment's notice if something comes up.
Yeah, yeah. I think that comes with a lot of careers out there. You got to just kind of be on your toes. I'm going to throw in a question right now, just because I'm curious, and I'm sure others are. So, what do you do on a daily basis at your job? So, what did you do today?
Okay, so today was a Monday. Today is our my busiest day of the week. So we have lots of different things in our company. So we have our youth home, which is a residential setting for at risk youth. So either foster kids through DCS or kids who are on probation for like minor offenses. So I do a lot with them. So for instance, if we have a crisis that comes up over the weekend, we have to take a kiddo for, emergent mental health care, or if there was an assault or things like that, I'm in charge of looking at those incidents and creating a report and looking at what we did well, what we can improve on. Um, I deal with our audits. So we had an audit results that came in today. So I looked through those. I am the chair of our safety committee, so I was working on my health and safety notes. A lot of paperwork. I do a lot of things, but also just making sure that we are meeting the requirements that we need to meet as a company.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Yep. I was curious. So I knew that those listening would probably be as well.
Sure.
And so, schedule wise, how many days a week do you work and about how many hours?
So I work Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. And then I'm scheduled for 40 hours. Usually I work about 42 to 43 hours, I would say. But I really try to keep it as close to 40 as I can. That's just a boundary that I've set for myself. Um, and there are weeks that, for instance, if I'm training new employees, those weeks are kind of crazy for me right now. So I will probably, work a little bit over. But then I do have the flexibility to be able to like take off early on a Friday if I need to. I can kind of flex those hours within the week.
And are you paid hourly, salary, or by commission?
I am salary, which has its good parts and its bad parts.
Yes, yes. So the next question is if you work overtime, which you kind of touched that a little bit. So are you paid for that overtime that you're doing?
So I am not paid for the overtime. So I really try to be intentional when I'm at work to really focus on what I need to do. Um, and then, like I said, I do have that flexibility if I need to, leave a little bit early one day, or if I need to come in, I just flex with what the needs of the company are.
Yeah, yeah. And why did you choose this career?
Oh, that's a good question. um, I really didn't know kind of what I wanted to do growing up. And I knew that I wanted to help people, and I knew that at some point in my life I would be in the ministry. Um, and I kind of just felt naturally drawn to help people, especially people who were really hurting. Um, and honestly, like growing up in Crothersville in our little small town, I didn't have the exposure to social work, to psychology, just really didn't know what that looked like. Um, and I just kind of felt that like, oh, I might want to work with people. You know, I know that that's kind of something that I'm interested in, but I didn't know how that really looked. So I took a semester off after high school, and when I started USI, or I'm sorry, IUPC, um, they were kind of like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know, maybe something to do with this. And they said, okay, well, we'll sign you up for a psychology class. And that first class that I took, I was like, okay, like everything fell into place. I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do. Um, and it kind of has all lined up. My career is what I feel is just kind of an overflow of the ministry that God has called me to. And so it just allows me another avenue to be able to help those in need.
Yeah, so the ministry work that you're mentioning is that you're working it with your local youth and things in your local church.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can see those two go hand in hand, what you're doing on your job versus being in church as well. So it helps both areas.
right.
Does your job seem exciting to you? And did you see yourself doing this as a child?
um, my job, it is exciting to me. Like I said a little bit before, my job consists of a lot of paperwork, spreadsheets. I am very kind of analytical by nature. And so that would probably be boring to a lot of people. And growing up, that would definitely not be something that I saw myself doing. Um, but I have just kind of as I have went through and grown in the company, in the different positions that I have held, it's just a natural fit for me. And I feel like it's my job to create a supportive environment that gives our employees all of the tools that they need to do their jobs without any kind of barriers or concerns. So that's kind of, on the 1,000-foot level, my job is to make sure that, the company is running good. It's not that kind of day-to-day kind of in the trenches that I used to do, but I enjoy it. And it's something that really fits my personality.
And so we kind of touched this, but what's the most satisfying thing about your career that you would say you feel?
So, without a doubt, the most satisfying thing about my career um, is being able to come alongside those people that are hurting and walk with them on their journey to health, whatever kind of health or wellness that might be, whether it's mental health or spiritual health or whatever that looks like. You kind of meet them where they are, and oftentimes that's really messy. And help them to meet their goals. And I've met some pretty incredible people over my time in the field, and I'm just really grateful that they allow me and they open their hearts and their homes and their lives to someone to come in when they are maybe at their lowest, and allow me to come in and kind of walk with them for a time in their life.
Yeah, it sounds so you really have to have a heart for people and you really have to have that empathy, compassion, caring, patience to do what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Are there a lot of openings in your career field? And if not so now, do you think there will be in the future?
Yes, yes, yes. There are lots of openings in the field. Um, especially with the recent pandemic, COVID-19 has really brought a lot of people who are experiencing a lot of fear and anxiety and depression. Just their world's turned upside down. And so the needs are just continuing to grow. Obviously, the addictions, addictions have caused an increase in needs for services throughout all age groups and populations. So there are definitely a lot of openings in a lot of different aspects of social work.
And pros and cons in your opinions?
Um, and these are just my opinions,
Yes,
but
yes.
pros, like I said, you truly get to help people. You get some really amazing experiences. I have some great stories that are just blow your mind away. And you get exposure to a lot of different cultures, a lot of different individuals that don't look and sound like you. And they really challenge you to grow, to kind of get outside of your comfort zone and help those, no matter what they look like. And you just get exposure to a lot of different areas, a lot of different individuals within the field. Just in my job, starting out, I had no connections in the field, and now I, know all the different kind of avenues that you can go with the social work field, which is really, really large. Some cons, the people that you work with aren't always ready for change, and you won't always see those changes. I think some people get in the field, the classic line when I interviewed people was, I want to help people. And that's great, but just know that, that might not always look how you think it will look. Um, the field is extremely draining. Burnout is very high in the social work field because you give to people all day long. People's stories begin to affect you. They trigger your own trauma in your life that you have to deal with, that come back up because of an experience that you had. And so it's really important that you set boundaries in your life with the clients, and you focus on making sure that you are healthy, and you put your own mental health as a top priority. And on the benefit side, pay can be lower, definitely, especially in entry level positions. Most people get in the social work field because they want to help people, not because they want a big paycheck. And so just be aware that if you are going to be in this field, that there are definitely opportunities to make good money, but you have to work hard and know that that's probably not going to look like an entry level high school diploma making, $100,000 a year.
Yeah, yeah. And last question that I have is, do you have any encouragement for those seeking this type of position, and anything you would like to add?
So before I get into the encouragement, I just want to say, I'm so honored to work in this field, and so honored for the people that have given their wisdom and sat down and really taught me and mentored me through this process. And I encourage you, if you are, looking at this field, to do your research. I think when a lot of people think of social work, they automatically think of, oh, well, I don't want to be a therapist. I don't want to counsel people. We love our therapists. Absolutely. We couldn't do our job without really good therapists. But that is not the only thing that there is to do in the field. There's so many other opportunities. So I would encourage you to do your research. And then once you're thinking like, oh, I'm interested in, this specific part of the field, try to connect with people who are actually in that field. Try to say, okay, what does your days look like? And keep in mind a couple of things that I wrote down. The population that you want to work with. When I first started in the field, I wanted to work with like school-aged kids, and did not at all want to work with teenagers. I was like, absolutely not. That doesn't sound like something that, Kristen does not work with at-risk, teens who are on probation. That's just not something that I do. And I really love that population. I've worked with moms and babies. And so, really think about the population that you want to work with. Think about the specific disorders, trauma, addictions that you want to focus on, the type of environment you want to work in. There are office-based jobs, there are home-based services, residential settings, correctional settings, school-based services, all kinds of different atmospheres, how flexible you want your job to be, your hours that will fit your life. And then look at your skill set and say, how does, this job match up with what I want to do? If I like being in an office all day, 8 to 5, then, being in a home and doing home visits is probably not, and being called at midnight because a kid needs to be pulled from a home is probably not what I want to do. But I would also caution you not to limit yourself. My first job was working at a library. My sole job was shelving books. I worked at a restaurant. I worked at a clothing store. And in all those jobs, I was really able to build my leadership skills and communication skills, which just translated beautifully into the field. So push yourself to try something new and realize that just because it's not in your comfort zone, just because it's not kind of your end result, doesn't mean that it's not going to help you to gain skills. And with that, look for both paid and volunteer positions that will help you to build your resume up, so that when you do have those opportunities, you have a little bit better of an idea where you want to go, and we can, those who interview you can say, oh, they would be a really good fit, or maybe, recommend that you try another thing. And then the last thing I think that's important is know that your character and your reputation are huge in the field. We use the example, if you call into work and you work at a fast food place, somebody might get their hamburger late or something like that. And that's not belittling that position at all. But if you are in the mental health field and you call in, that person might be suicidal, and they might have looked all day and said, oh, I'm going to meet with this person, and, I'm really looking forward to this, and I know if I can get to there, that I'll be okay. And so you're really mentoring these people. You are a role model for them. So that is a huge part of what I look for when I'm training people and when we have interviews for people is, what is their character? Are they going to be dependable? Are they going to be kind? And be compassionate towards the vulnerable populations that we work with. So I'm just so grateful to be in the field and to, like I said, to be able to work with so many people that have impacted me, and their stories have impacted me and just really shaped who I am and how I encourage and lift people up in my daily life as well as in my career.
That is so awesome. Yeah, some of the things you mentioned I didn't even think of or would have thought of. So I've learned a lot during this interview. So thank you so much, Kristen.
My
If any of those watching students have questions or anything, please get them to me. I'll try to get them to Kristen, so I'll get you connected to her, so that if you have something that maybe we didn't talk about, that she'll be able to help with you on those questions. So thank you so much,
Absolutely.
Kristen.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. We really appreciate you.